You ever wonder how these huge companies, the ones with millions of users, push out updates to their apps without the whole thing just blowing up? Well, that's what we're digging into today. We're talking about something called Canary deployments, which is, honestly, one of the smartest and safest ways to release new software.
Okay, let's kick things off with this quote, "That's scary." Now, what could possibly be so scary in the world of software development? I mean, it's just code, right? Well, it's that heart-stopping moment when you're about to push a brand new update live to everyone. That's where the fear comes from. The huge, massive risk that's tied to that one single click.
So, let's talk about that gamble. The all or nothing gamble, as we're calling it. For a long time, this was just how it was done. Every software company had to face this incredibly high-stakes moment where they'd release a new version to all of their users, all at the same time, and pretty much just cross their fingers and hope for the best.
One of the most common ways companies used to do this, and some still do, is something called a blue/green deployment. Think of it like a giant light switch. You have your old stable version, let's call that blue. And you have your shiny new version, we'll call that green. The strategy is just to flip the switch. Boom! All of the user traffic instantly moves from blue to green. It's clean, it's fast, but man, is it a massive leap of faith.
And that right there is the key number to remember: 100%. With that blue/green switch, 100% of your users get moved over to the new version, all at the exact same time. So if there's even one tiny, little bug hiding in that new code, it's not going to affect just a few people. Nope, it's going to hit everyone, instantly.
Okay, so if that all-or-nothing approach is just, way too risky, then what's the alternative? How do you get around that? Well, this is where we get to a much more cautious, much smarter approach. It's time to introduce the hero of our story, the Canary.
Yeah, it's called the Canary deployment. And the name actually comes from a pretty old practice, using canaries in coal mines. You see, miners used to send a canary down into the mine first. If the little bird was okay, they knew the air was safe for them to go in. This deployment strategy applies that exact same logic to software. You send the new version out to a tiny, tiny group of users first to see if it's safe before everybody else gets it.
All right, so that's the big idea. But how does this Canary thing actually work in practice? Let's break it down step by step. So the whole process usually breaks down into about 4 key steps. First up, you've got the initial rollout. This is where you deploy the new version, but you only route a sliver of your users to it, like maybe just 1%. This group could be totally random, or maybe you pick people in a specific city, or you could even just use your own employees. Step 2, you monitor. You watch that little group very closely for any sign of trouble, any spike in errors. Then comes step 3, the big decision. If things look bad, you pull the plug immediately, roll it back. But if everything's looking good, then you move on to step 4, which is to gradually, slowly increase the traffic. And this first phase, this is really the most critical part. Just look at this breakdown. 99% of your users are still happily using the old stable version. They have no idea anything is even changing. Meanwhile, just that tiny 1% is trying out the new code. They are your canaries. And because that group is so incredibly small, the potential damage if something goes wrong is, it's tiny. Now, once you've watched that initial 1% and everything looks solid, no major errors, everything's stable, you start to gain some confidence. So you can slowly open the floodgates just a little bit more. Maybe you bump it up to 10% of your traffic. You're still watching like a hawk, of course, but you're expanding that test group because, hey, all the early signs were good. And then, finally, after you've checked for stability at every single stage, you get to the finish line. At this point, you're not just hoping it works, you know it works. So with full confidence, you can switch 100% of the traffic over to the new, proven, stable version. The old version gets retired, and the release is done. Success.
But here's the thing. The real magic of this whole strategy isn't just about the successful rollouts. I mean, those are great, but the true genius is what happens when things inevitably go wrong. That's where you really see the power of that tiny, initial 1%.
And that brings us to what is without a doubt the most important question of all. What happens when the Canary actually finds a problem? What happens when that 1% group starts hitting errors?
The answer is beautifully simple. An immediate, easy rollback. Because you've only exposed a tiny fraction of your users to the buggy new version, you can just flip them right back to the old stable one. There's no 5-alarm fire, no company-wide panic. It's just a small, controlled course correction.
And really, this is the punchline to the whole thing. The blast radius of the problem is tiny. It's contained. So instead of having 100% of your users, your entire customer base, having a terrible experience, maybe only 1% were even slightly annoyed. And that, right there, is a game changer when it comes to keeping customers happy and protecting your company's reputation.
So when you boil it all down, it comes to one core idea: risk reduction. That's what this is all about. Canary deployments are considered the safest way to get new code out there because their entire design is built around one thing: minimizing the impact if and when something fails. It really is just like dipping your toe in the water to check the temperature before you dive all the way in.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? This whole concept of testing something with a small, low-risk group before you go all in, it's incredibly powerful. It really makes you wonder, what if more things in life had a canary test? Think about it. It's such a powerful model for making smarter, safer decisions way beyond just the world of software.